In the world of Alan, a great war between the continents of Evros and Alkesh is forcibly brought to an end by the Tempest, a cataclysmic storm that rages over the surrounding oceans. An uneasy peace has been solidified, but over the last 2 centuries a cold war has frozen the hearts of many. A group of adventurers calling themselves the Hydra have joined to thaw out the ice. Their mutual friend has been slain, and now their quest to solve an ages-old mystery truly begins. Blood is hotter than water, in a debt to a friend. A homebrew campaign.
Tempted as I am to say that Session 19 of A Debt to a Friend is my absolute favourite, I feel I use that praise far too often. If I hadn't used it before, I would definitely say this is honestly the best session of A Debt to a Friend that I've ever played, and it had so much of everything. I struggle to think of other times in D&D or other role-playing games I've played, like the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Valkyria Chronicles, Baldur's Gate. I can't think of any other moments that have almost made me cry like the ones in today's session. It has been a beautiful session because it's also been a hard one as well. The party resumes their travels from Freer Gate, having decided to escort a gentleman by the name of Philip Nevins, who is taking goods to G.E.E.S.E, where the farmland is abundant, but the actual farming done is minimal. So he's going to take supplies there and see if he can make a rather hearty profit investing in G.E.E.S.E. Perhaps one day we might see him again. In addition to rewarding us 100 gold pieces each for our escort service, he would like to pay for our room and board at the very aptly named Traveller's Rest, as if goading us towards the inn. The clouds, grey clouds form as it's about to rain, with the warmth of the inn radiating from the front door, the glow of a hearth shining brightly. On a successful vibe check, we do indeed find that this is not another place with cultists wanting to kill us. It has something else, though. Despite the map on Roll20, the place is fairly packed with travellers, and not just travellers, but also private security forces, similar to those in Freer Gate. There's not really like a constabulary like the Red Crests or other sort of soldiers about, but there are mercenaries whose interest is absolutely in keeping the peace, that it's far better for them to protect the travellers than become bandits and kill them and take their wares, whatever use they may be. So we sit and we look at the menu, sat next to a roaring fireplace. There is salted mutton with barley biscuits paired with cider. I, for one, take the boiled veal with the dried parsnip salad, which comes with meat. There's a stewed watercress salad, a roasted onion and chestnut salad, stewed sausage, parsnip and ale. I do note that there is a lot of parsnip on the menu and I really like it. I do love parsnips. And as well as roast chicken and boiled potatoes. I know that Cornelius took the roast chicken, which I put in the Discord chat, the Blues Brothers meme of 4 fried chickens and a Coke. Unfortunately, there was no dry white toast available. Well, in fact, I didn't ask. I should ask. And see if Matt Guitar Murph's in as well. I do love the Blues Brothers. So we order, and Philip, Mr. Nevins, offers us 100 gold pieces each for our travels, per Rakanar's reminder, because he does ask how much we owe him, and I'm too dishonest to try and scam the guy, bless him. And he says that he's pooped, so he's going to go straight to bed. And so we decide that once we've eaten, we're going to rest, having been on the road for about 3 days, living in tents and such. Before I let Mr. Nevins retire, however, I do ask about the cultist scimitar from the H.W.D.R.A, and he says that he doesn't recognise it, but if I do want this information, he tells me what has been mentioned before, that Densmarsh is the place to ask, where if there's trade of any kind, legitimate or otherwise, then that is the beating heart of the world's economy. The cult of Wall Street. Now that sounded way better in my head. Never mind. We fall asleep. Some of us having restless dreams and about what's coming next. That we're going to be entering the abode of a red wormling, and perhaps even their siblings and mother. We each roll perception checks at disadvantage. I roll a nat 1. Feeling this is going to be a very Emil Cragwalker day. Cornelius rolls 13 and 9, so he has to take the 9. Ragnar rolls 8 and 12, so he takes the 8. And Takavria rolls a natural 20 and a 19. So unfortunately it's the 19. Only Takavria succeeds. As we're all snoozing away, Takafria's eyes flit open randomly, hearing the faint beating of Raven Wings hollow in his mind. He stirs to find before him a draconic assassin, and at this point we roll initiative. Now I'm going to have to skip this combat because there is a lot of combat, but basically in each of our rooms is a single draconic assassin that's sort of like shifting and almost like not entirely corporeal, enough to like get any biting weapons and things like with our weapons, but not really enough to actually to like always secure a hit on them. They have poisoned blades, which we fortunately are able to fend off quite well, but they still do a fair amount of damage to them, bless them, and as well they also get a lot of advantages with how unaware we were. Not only were we unaware, we're also lying on our backs or on our sides, so we're considered prone because we're lying in bed. Takavria had the good sense in this instance to actually wear his armour. I took mine off, so my AC was down to 11 rather than 13. And yeah, not that it really would have helped with a lot of the rolls, and I forgot as well to put an alarm spell up. I keep thinking I've got to start doing that, start having Rigsby out on patrol, start putting the alarm spell up, anything to protect the party's interests. So, yeah, so also as well, when these draconic assassins are slain, they dissolve or burst into puddles of acid, requiring dexterity saves from the party, or rather from those within the vicinity. And unfortunately Nero does take 2 points of damage, which might seem insignificant to us, but bearing in mind he is an eagle, and I imagine eagles do not have a very high hit point pool to work with. Unfortunately that's not the worst of the damage that we take. Now Ragnar does have the good sense to actually say to the party towards the end of that combat, though, to try and keep one alive if we can. And Takavria doesn't really want to, but tries to go with that. And unfortunately, one of the assassins actually escapes through the window. They use their bonus action to engage, disengage, and their action to dash, deftly dodging us, and leaps out of the window, crashing with. Just as we're about to reach the window and look out to see if it's further fall, membranous wings sprout from its back and launch itself through the air and escaping into the night. So I patch up the party and I check on Philip Nevins, who is snoring away and goes back to sleep, so I leave him be. In the morning, Takavria decides that he's going to have a bath, and I go and check on Mr. Nevins, and he's still quite tired, so I insist he stays in bed, and perhaps I'll catch him downstairs. But even after breakfast, we decide that it's not worth staying, that we have a quest to go on, and we need to make our move. We take our leave from the Travellers Inn and make our way to the Watchkeep land bridge. To my keen eye, I see various little cubby holes and fortifications within the mountains, seeing there's various traps waiting to be triggered in the event of incursion. After an hour of ascent through the mountains, we arrive at the land bridge with its moat of mountain stream, with its moat of stream water along the mountains. There's a small drawbridge and signs of stables and farming projects for the garrison's self-sufficiency. As we march, we find the drawbridge down with 2 guards who eye us from a distance and hail us, and upon offering identification, they stand aside, salute, and they ask for our weapons. Now I offer mine up first, and we enter a tunnel. Now, Reckonhouse player did bring up an interesting point that we should perhaps put some weapons in the bag of holding, just in case, because I don't think the bag of holding can be emptied by anyone but those willing to see the contents within. So I think, unless I think you have to turn it inside out for the contents to spill out. So it could just be that a guardsman gets their hands on that. So might be an idea to make it look less like a bag of holding, but how we do that I don't know. So yes, we'll have to come up with some sort of solution for smuggling items in that wouldn't necessarily be allowed otherwise. But in this place, like, I'm fine, and I don't think anyone's going to give us any grief while we're here. So we go through this tower that leads into the mountains, and we find a tunnel. And throughout the tunnels we find troops committed to drills by a stern NCO, a non-commissioned officer. Firearms are being maintained, armour is cleaned, and doors lead ahead. And I asked the DM which of these doors would be appropriate if I wanted to speak to someone about claiming a bounty on the bandits that we had slain in the last session, towards the end, and information on, like, dragons and things like that. So the NCOs are rather busy with their drills, insisting that that they see to their troops. However, I do find an officer's quarters, so I knock on the door, finding a fresh lieutenant out of the academy. Lieutenant Magnus Cole, you have me at a disadvantage. Commissar, to which I introduce myself as Commissar Katusha Lost Cows, here with a band of adventurers, and I tell him that we've dealt with some bandits, and he may be pleased to hear that. So he tells us of that they are part of the Crimson Hand, a bandit clan whose HQ we need to find in order to put an end to them permanently. However, we did find when we looted them, because we sort of retconned that into the beginning of the session, that they did actually have some markings that appear to be like a Crimson Hand upon their gear. And so that if I want to claim a bounty, I should speak to the sergeant about this. And I think the bounty was for 300 gold pieces, so that's 75 gold pieces each. So, but before I do that, I tell him as well about the Draconic Assassins, and the lieutenant appears to have a glimmer in his eye, as if to say, "Ah, yes, I bet that's the old foe, the Bracken, eh?" And I do try as in an attempt to defuse the situation with Takavrea, who is from Bracca. I tell him that no, I don't think our enemy really cares for borders. In fact, they may be using borders and the current Cold War to their advantage to get wherever they want. But I was thinking, are they? Because that's my long-term out-of-character theory. Or maybe in character, but I haven't really got enough evidence to support it as a theory. The only real evidence that we have is like the airship crash, but I think that still took place in Kingdom territory, or just outside, and that's why the Lieutenant Cole thinks that this is the Brackens. H.Y.D.R.A says, I can sense an awful smell in here. And the lieutenant says, speak for yourself. And so H.Y.D.R.A says, I do hope that that you're not stuck behind this stuffy little office. It does create quite the stench when someone stays in. I do hope that you face the glory of combat, perhaps against Zathrax, the Crimson Plague, the wormling that stalks this place. And as well, I hope that you return, either behind a desk or underneath the ground. But either way, I hope for your return. To which the lieutenant responds by saying, interesting company you keep, Commissar. I'll have to note this in my paperwork. Got to keep an eye on the foreigners, you understand. And I didn't have a Swiftian riposte to get back at him with. I said, no, of course, whatever you need to do. And with that all cleared up, I, with all the information got, I said, because apparently Zathrax, the Crimson Plague, the red wormling, they did confirm it was a wormling, and they did say that they would be fended off with good old Ostagarthian spunk and black powder and all the goodies of the kingdom. With the fanaticism that I think my character had once upon a time, Commissar Butterbar. And so I ask as well, look, we're going into the mountains, so is there any equipment that I can requisition? And he says, of course, well, I mean, you are a commissioned officer, I can absolutely requisition you equipment, but for the others, it'll be 50 gold pieces each. I need some insurance with, kingdom equipment, I'm sure you understand. And I said, of course, that's 50 gold pieces each, right? And he says, naturally. And I wish that, if I could remember exactly what he said after, towards the end of our conversations, I wish I could have got back to him with naturally. And, just to send a little bit of a shiver down his spine. We're about to go to the sergeant, and the lieutenant asked me to stay behind. He says I couldn't have a word in private. Could I, Commissar? Which of course. You guys want to go on ahead, we can do. So H.Y.D.R.A decides that he wants to perhaps get some air and blow off some steam before he, blows people's heads off. With a misplaced musket, you know how these things get lost under people's chins. I didn't realise actually that was a reference to the Sewer King, but yeah, and that it's we don't need that again. Thank you. It's not. I'm sure if the thought came to mind, it would have been appreciated, but just not yet. Not yet. Okay. When we leave, when we've been made public enemy number 1 in a 10 sessions time, maybe 100 sessions time, even when it's safe. When it's safe. I don't know what I'm on about. Anyway, I'm asked to stay behind, and the gentleman, the lieutenant says, Commissar, you must understand that I've got to, that if I'm handing out this equipment to strangers, to foreigners, that I have to fill in all the paperwork and have it sent off for. I'm sure you understand. And which I say, yes, absolutely, of course. And he says, great, then in that case you'll be detained here until further notice. And I'm like, oh, okay. Right, okay. So it's like, well, you must understand that I'm also a bureaucrat. Look, just allow me to fill in whatever forms that I need to do and I'll be on my way. We'll all be on our way and out of your hair. And he says, no, Commissar, I can't permit you to leave. You must understand that, again, you are a sanctioned officer. an agent of the Crown. That you can't just be leaving with strangers for something that is, for personal jollies that I'm not informed about. And to which I say, I can't remember what it was, but like basically, like this is the thing. This is the problem with iRole players. I don't write things down, and I do tell him that, look, the reason why I have these scars, and I like sort of grab the, like I'll grab a fat roll there, like a floating rib. My nose is broken in 2 different places from being kidnapped by the cultists, and my cheeks are burned with like the thunderous breath of the dragon, combined like with like rock gnome magic trying to stabilize me. Like Katyusha looks quite different to how she did before. And she says the reason why I got these scars was because I did my duty to defend the kingdom. I went above and beyond. I didn't stay behind a desk. I went out and did what I had to for the crown. And I was eventually losing my original point, and I was like, as I was saying this, like I was fidgeting with the chorus ring upon my finger. And he says, be that as it may, and Commissar, like, would you stop fidgeting? It's very unbecoming for an officer. I sense that I'm not getting through to him with this chorus ring that would allow me special dispensation. I say to him, right, I'm clearly not getting through. I hold the ring up and I say, look, you're not going to detain me here. If you don't recognize this ring, find me somebody who does, because I'm not staying here a moment longer. He looks suspicious, but gulps and proceeds to leaf through one of his ledgers on his desk and his eyes widen. Oh balls, he thinks. This is a member of the chorus. Super secretive secret agents of the Kingdom of Ostergarth. The colour drains from his face as he proceeds to apologise profusely. And offers me back 150 gold, even though there's an extra 50 gold that is just seemingly on the desk. As I hold out my hand, I let it drop to the ground and say no. Keep the gold, because that is the price that you must pay. 150 gold pieces from a very upset Imperial Commissar, an agent of the Crown. I will take the equipment that I need, any personnel that I require, any arms and armaments at your disposal. But I will not forget this. And the lieutenant is, of course, very apologetic and says, you mentioned this in your paperwork, because I won't. I said, we'll see when we get back. If I get back. I should have added as well, I do hope that I get back. Because there'll be a lot of questions being asked. The chorus knows I'm here. The bodies don't stay buried for long. Or something like that. And so he keeps nervously snapping salutes as his knees are knocking. And as I'm role-playing this, as I'm raising my voice, like, I don't know where this is coming from. Like, this has started with work now, and I'm like, where the hell is this energy coming from? Because I need to figure this out and calm down. But I was like shouting at the top of my voice and doing all this and that, and my knees are shaking like as I role play this out because I don't know where this is coming from. And anyway, we leave. We leave for the sergeant. As we're waiting for a sergeant to be freed from their aerobics or whatever such exercise lessons are going on, we decide to get some food. The chef is very a large gentleman that if he wasn't stuck in the kitchens, he would probably do very well in the fight pits of Denmark. And there he offers us slop, which is only what it can be described as. Essentially, rations in a very watery, custardy texture, where if you were to try and spoon at it, you can't really find any purchase, and it sort of just dribbles off. But at the same time, isn't really like liquidy enough to sort of sit there, so it's almost rubbery in a way. But I do thank Cookie for the warm slop. It's warm today. Just like Mama used to make. I rather enjoy the description of that. A few people take a couple of bites and say, nah, they can't bother eat it, and so I decided to feed it to Rigsby, who mercifully doesn't have any taste buds, but unfortunately not even he can really get his chops around it, so with great difficulty he does, at which point a sergeant is made available, and we speak to the gentleman about gear. So he does say that the lieutenant had sent, with probably very shaky handwriting, that we should be given cold weather clothing to face the climbs that we're going into. In the understanding, of course, that we should be wary as well of like where we're resting, because we may still get frostbite and such. He does also mention as well that we have riled up the lieutenant, and that we may have caused him some disturbance. And I do say jokingly, well, we commissars do have a reputation for that. And he does also mention as well that the lieutenant comes from a wealthy family, and that this may cause trouble in court. But I'm the one who does all the politicking. I'm the political officer, so what does he know? And he does ask for if we want any personnel to join us. And I do ask, I suppose the lieutenant could join us, could they? But H.Y.D.R.A scoffs and says, we've already made one well-go crying bet to its parents. We don't need another one, and a human at that, or whatever race the lieutenant was. Yes, and I say, well, yes, quite right. I suppose wealth won't make emptying the slop buckets any easier here, though, so you could have a chance of glory that he so eagerly seeks. But never mind, so, unfortunately a commissioned officer has to stay on the premises at all times. And that, unfortunately, means Lieutenant Butterbar. Dear me. So, we take our equipment and we decide that we're not going to stay any longer. It does smell a bit at this point, so at least it does to H.Y.D.R.A. And so we make our move. In our cold weather gear, the air grows thinner as we're approaching what is now no man's land. That the mountains here are the realm of shepherds and mountain goats. We don't really find that many on our travels. Breathing becomes harder, and our skin starts to sting and tingle with the cold. We reach a plateau, and Cornelius rolls perception. He rolls a dirty 20. For what he finds is a figure, which appears to be on her knees. We're described by Cornelius, the love of his life, Maya, who is 6'5". She has white blonde hair with green eyes, and I quote, looking like an Amazonian snack. That may well be the title of today's session recap. I did have something more grand in mind. The King and the Court, the Tale of Two Kings, King Dings, but Amazonian snack seems to be the message of the day today. And I've also capitalised snack as well, so it's official. Looking forward to what if I can make one of those with the chef feet. Moving on. So Maya, or who we believe is Maya, is doubled down over the ground weeping, and nobody else can see her. And he runs after her, Maya, Maya, and he keeps running, and she's weeping into her hands. Cornelius, why didn't you? Why? And so Cornelius says, Why? Why what? Why did you make us whole? And she looks up and turns to him, eyes gouged out, as she begins to disintegrate into wailing dust. Rising above Cornelius, indeed above us all, is a creature that is turning large to giant as a blurring form begins to appear. The Hollow King, previously the Nervous King, which the DM did like apparently. I prefer Hollow King. Appears. And so we roll initiative. Now this is the combat where I really want to get all the details right, I really do. God, there's just... But, if I... You know what, I'm going to read the entire combat log. I may only be reading, there may not be much dramatising to it, but it's a good combat log, because the Hollow King has so many abilities, and I don't think we've even seen all that many of them. I think we've seen his very basic repertoire. The Hollow King rolls incredibly high initiative. I think it was about 25, so that was quite good. And on his first go, he immediately requires Cornelius to make a charisma save. And it's 15, but it's not high enough, as he fails, taking 6d10 damage. He takes 43. Our TM had to get the dice roller out for this one, because this was just insane. And the voice yells out, Make howl! And he's now frightened, as I would be if I saw those dice. 43 damage. I don't think I've even got that many hit points. Let me have a look at my character sheet while I'm here. Now I've got 38. So good golly, that's just mental. So the Hollow King then turns to dust and re-coalesces in front of Tak. Hands outstretched and reaches out. His psychic swipe ignores Takavria's use of the shield spell, which brings his AC high enough as he counterspells it as a reaction, piercing through the shield to just touch him. And he takes damage and then drifts uninterested to me. Yeah, he swipes again for 12 damage, and I try to grab him as he then drifts to Rakana, but unfortunately with an unarmed strike I would have done 0 damage. Great, but it's a good job I rolled a 4, so I didn't actually hit him. Great. I would have healed him. I look today. I've rolled several natural ones in this session. I think I rolled the most natural ones. The curse of Cragwalker is upon me today. But hey, better me than anyone else, especially when I'm doing that many skill checks. So, he tries to touch Rakana, but misses by a single AC, so that's quite good. A single digit of the AC. Cornelius, flailingly on the ground, just like launches his finger gun, sacred flames, and manages to deal 9 radiant damage, I think, or the save failed. As the faces of Zukov and Maya appear swirling in the king's, what's the word I'm looking for? What's a nice descriptive word? Like onyx and crimson cloak. And they're calling out silent cries. He then uses unsettling words to call out to the Hollow King, but he just ignores it completely. So I decide that I'm going to mount Rigsby, and I ride Rigsby to Cornelius and cast Heroism, saying, I don't know what's going on in your head right now, but you've got to get up. I need you in the fight, come on! And so, yeah, so Rigsby's taking his dash action to reach Cornelius. So that's good. H.Y.D.R.A casts his Vow of Enmity, and rolls 16 to hit. I don't know what Vow of Enmity does, I really should have it up. He deals 17 damage in total, with all of his paladin bullshit that he gets to do. A flash of light erupts, and Nezarec looks, the Hungry looks back with a judging gaze at H.Y.D.R.A as a whisper claws its way into H.Y.D.R.A's. I was about to find a synonym for red, but can't be bothered. Red skull, and says, "You could have saved me. Are we not kin?" The Hollow King turns to both of them and calls for a Wisdom saving throw. H.Y.D.R.A rolls 22 and fights off the Whisper as Nezarec had his chance, and he was found measured and found wanting. He was measured and found wanting, rather. Ragnar rolls a 4 as he sees the face of Professor Volmac, and he feels awful for even trying to strike it, even just an illusion of him. Oh yeah, he takes 36 points of psychic damage, and even while he's raging, his bear totem stuff does not give him defense or resistance to psychic damage. Like force damage, I think it does. Not psychic damage. See, I love psychic damage. It's like my favourite type of damage in the game. It's why I really want to play like a psionicist. I really want psionics to be their own thing, but that's a whole different story. I'm gonna get subscribers just so they can argue with that. Anyway, yeah, and H.Y.D.R.A takes 18 points of psychic damage. He then psychic swipes at H.Y.D.R.A twice, missing, and hits Ragnar. He finally surreal steps and launches himself toward me, failing to trigger an attack of opportunity because it's like Misty Step, which it's one of my favourite spells in the game, and hey, if you've got it, use it. So, finally on his turn, Cornelius casts a level 4 Dissonant Whispers, DC 16 Wisdom, for 17 damage. He focuses his curses, and the Hollow King turns to him. Cacophony of children's voices from the orphanage. You failed us! You failed us all! Why don't you make yourself? Ragnar, frightened, tries to shoot at the Hollow King, but he can't bring himself to shoot the Hollow King's face, which appears as Volmac. I was always there for you, Ragnar. Why weren't you there for me? I'm sorry, Professor. I'm sorry. And he rolls 15 to miss with the king using a villainous reaction. Ooh. Nothing but nerve endings catch the arrow, and it falls clattering on a stone beneath him. I heal Cornelius for 12 HP with the first aid kit, and Rigsby tries to bite, but he just can't find any purchase on this on the sort of nerve endings of the king here. H.Y.D.R.A measures the situation. He sees Nero headed to cover, Ragnar losing uncharacteristically all his resolve, and Cornelius calls upon every bit of magical power bestowed on him. And I try as best I can. He applies a Hexblade. Excuse me, that caught me all of a sudden. He applies a Hexblade's curse, rolls a natural 20 plus 9, and rolls 36 damage total by slamming the War Pick into it. And whatever is holding the Hollow King together, it's losing substance. Whatever binds this creature to this realm from the, I imagine, some sort of immaterial plane, is weakening. The Hollow King reaches out to Cornelius, standing over him, rolling a Wisdom where Cornelius rolls a Wisdom 9 save and takes 28 points of psychic damage, which brings him well under his hit points, but not enough to outright kill him. It was not considered a massive damage. He sees flashes of images. I'm so sorry, I don't know what's up with me today. He sees flashes of images, villagers, fishermen, people being murdered and ripped apart, their souls harvested. And he looks down into to see his own hands bloodied with a knife in them. He goes to a reflection of water in a barrel or a lake, I didn't quite catch it. And he sees not his own face, but Zukov's. He looks up and sees a sign hovering above him. Welcome to Flint Down. He falls unconscious. I fail my wisdom save as 13 as the Hollow King turns to me and it is not a magical effect, therefore I cannot get advantage per my rock gnome heritage, which really pissed me off. It did, but hey, that's fine. It's a feature. No, it's probably a feature, not a spell, so it makes perfect sense. And it was described as like it's something that I've never encountered anything like it before, which is good. I like that. It's spooky. Like if I am thinking of writing my own adventure, and one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have lots of cryptic stuff like that, where it's like you actually sense that this is something beyond what you know. It's beyond divinity. Like if it was like a like Cthulhu-esque, like Lovecraftian sort of horror stuff, cosmic horror. Or it's like it's closer than you can imagine, and like you can't see it. It's like it's so small, even though it's right in front of you, you can't see it. You know, that sort of thing. Like in terms of magical effects and such. So anyway, so I take 36 points of damage and I fall unconscious next to him. Rigsby is basically just in defensive mode. Don't fall asleep now, John. For the love of God, you've got the best parts coming up yet. So Cornelius takes his first death save and he rolls a 15. So he succeeds. He gets 1 success, 2 more of those, or 1 critical success, and he gets 1 HP. Hey! But if he rolls a net 1, that's 2 fails. 3. So Ragnar is still frightened as the effect lasts a minute unless he rolls a successful wisdom save, and he does not. He makes the ranged attack at disadvantage, but his second one hits successfully for 9 damage. The Hollow King is distracted by the prone bodies before him as the bolt sails through, causing a wet thump, but it hits something. But it then just clashes to the ground, having done the damage that it needed to whatever is holding the body together, or what little of the body there is together. Nero remains in cover. Tekavria then uses his Hex ability. This is one thing I don't like about like D&D's use of the word hex. It doesn't like you use you've got hex bloods, you've got hexes, you've got hex bloods curse, something like that. You've got like hex thingy. There's so many different hexes in the game, and they don't mean the same thing, which just annoys to no end. But anyway, yeah, so he uses his hex and launches his war pick, but because he rolls a 1, he strikes into the heart of this thing, and it just shatters, requiring an action to summon forth again. The Hollow King hasn't even registered this attack on him. He raises his arm, and tendrils emerge from a purple orb in the sky, and they reach down to Cornelius and I. Cornelius rolls a death save. He rolls a nat 1. And like, this is getting scary now. If he gets 2 fails, that counts as 2 fails. If he rolls below 10 on his next death save, he's dead. And there's nothing more he can do. There's nothing anyone could have done. There's no inspirations. There's no help action. there's nothing. It's just a flat d20 roll. Unless you're like Reborn from the Gothic lineages. I think maybe like Undead or Undying Warlock or something like that, you don't get advantage on death saves. There's not many things that give you advantage on death saves. So, this might be it. For the character who the Hollow King affects the most. If he dies, this arc is over. H.Y.D.R.A rolls 18 wisdom to break the fear effect, remembering the friend that Volmak was, to push him harder and harder to success. He wildly swings his axe going forth, causing 28 damage on the first attack with disadvantage, and he describes how this attack works. Not how he kills the Hollow King, how it works. Because it's an aberration, the radiant damage impacts on a more physical plane, drawing energy from whence this thing came, as if he's actually trying to pull or tug, like he's got it lodged in a completely different plane and he's trying to pull the axe back, and with it, whatever's attached to it. And whatever this thing is, whatever it is on the other side that makes it what it is, it's coming apart, it's weakening, and just as H.Y.D.R.A is about to rip it out of the other plane, it turns to ash and dust. Its power completely disrupted. It would sooner die, or at least vanish, than reveal its true self. The tendrils turn to the orb, which dissipates from the sky. Shrieks without sound emit from, if the Hollow King indeed had a mouth, its agonized form. But the shrieks are telepathically beamed to our minds. And only the conscious hear this.
Make us whole, Cornelius. You will make us whole.
And it fades into nothing. Cornelius rolls wisdom. Another message enters his brain before he emerges from unconsciousness with H.Y.D.R.A's healing hands upon us. In his mind, an orphanage appears, but it's not his own. It's the one from H.Y.D.R.A. Well, so he thinks. Omar's packing a horse, speaking to the matrons and the nuns who wish him well on his trip to a town called Flintdown. Something isn't right about the vision, he senses. He can see a festival procession, a feast day, but that celebration isn't for a few days yet. With that, he's back to consciousness as H.Y.D.R.A heals him and I. A thunderclap sounds. The heavens open up as snow descends and hail begins its baleful journey. The wind buffets us. H.Y.D.R.A and H.Y.D.R.A drag the weaker members of the party to cover behind a boulder towards the southeast. And H.Y.D.R.A says, "This storm has got to be unnatural. What shall we do? We've got to hurry." I think that we should press on, but then again, I'm not in the best state of mind. If we turn away, we fail our mission, but we may be able to help those in Flintdown that we don't know about, except Cornelius. There'll be time for questions later, as everyone did hear the name Cornelius, at least H.Y.D.R.A and H.Y.D.R.A did. But because I didn't hear it, and because Cornelius doesn't know they heard it, I might have to step in and defend him. So, we're a bit evened. Sorry, there's going to have to be another tiebreaker. We need Damien. We should have requisitioned Damien. Oh yes, I shall break the vote. Yes. Yes, I say we go to Flintdown. What accent am I doing there? We should go to Flintdown. I don't know. What the God almighty. And to think I wanted to be a voice actor. I really did. Dear me. So, Rakanar rolls 7 survival, and unfortunately he just can't tell whether or not the storm is natural. He's just too cold to figure things out. So we decide to press on, and I'm the only one who fails a survival check as we manage to navigate the storm that's building up and building up and building up. I almost walk off the mountain edge when Rigsby's automated systems bring me in, but I'm so behind the party with him that we can't. I just can't see. I take a point of exhaustion as I find my way back to the party. Also glad as well that my mechanical friend is with me, because the horses we left at the Watchkeep land bridge, because they would not have survived this trip, and goodness knows what the Hollow King would have done to Marvin, Cannibal, and Thanatos. Hey, I remember the names! I don't know why, but I remember the names! And so we keep on going. We reach a plateau, and in front of us is a waystone. Now it's starting to get dark, so Takavir is trying to read what it says, having taken the lead, and finds upon it the words in Draconic. Speak, friend, and listen. No prizes for guessing what that's from. Now, I know that our DMs said they took inspiration from a lot of pop culture. Come on, they couldn't have been anything more original than that, could there? Like, we couldn't have, like, the Knights and Knaves, you know? We couldn't have Riddle Me This Batman. Jesus, Humpty fucking Dumpty sat on there. Oh, dear. Oh dear, but it was fun, and Takavir was like, he's trying to figure out. I do like this aspect as well, that he doesn't quite remember the language, or doesn't fully understand it, and he's saying, companion, acquaintance, comrade. What's the word for friend in Draconic? And as he's saying that, the word friend, because he says what's friend in Draconic, it just instinctively says friend in Draconic. And the stone thrums with energy as light emits from the runes, and the impossible appears. There's a gateway, and a bridge of light illuminates a chasm that we were seconds from falling into had we stepped any further. Inside there is life swirling around, koi fish making their way, trying to swim just to keep themselves alive and not have the pond freeze over. A platform raised above us is at the end, where there's a portal, it's a series of gates, and Takavir asks what we do. As the Rakanar says, we must press on, we can't stay here. And so we carry on across this bridge of light. On top of a tree that's seemingly chopped, like we're on a giant trunk. And I mean a gargantuan trunk. I feel strange that like there's stairs that have been carved that we can ascend. And if we make our way to the right and then to the left, we'll reach the top, where there is a platform awaiting us. Whereas there's a platform waiting us with a gate. We carry on, and only Takavir survives the cold, not survives the cold, but survives the effects of he manages to brush off the worst effects of the cold, as everyone else takes a point of exhaustion, this being my second now, as we feel the howling gale bite into us. We reach the gate, and Takavir reaches out and touches it. We're encased in, I think the DM retconned this bit to make it sound a bit more fantastical than bubbles. We're in bubbles, and we rise to the mountains, just bobbing along the heights of the beautiful briny sky. Alright, so moving on. we rise through the mountains, and above the mountains we see the world of the land beneath us, and we're admiring the view, and eventually we arrive at a bridge. A bridge, like a mix of bridge and staircase, and it consists of swords crossing one another, leading to a gigantic gate. In the sky are other swords just floating around, gently, timelessly moving, and rather not moving at all, really. I don't know what I'm on about. And so Takafria takes a moment to get his weapon back, taking inspiration from the swords around, and he models it after one of the long swords here. And so we approach. Rakanar looks over the impressive metalwork and sees, as he does, the world of the land below, the continent of Alkesh and Ebros, the tempest swirling in an otherwise calm sea, and other parts that perhaps may not even be on the maps. And other parts that may have been swallowed up by the tempest, that no one has dared confirm, because it's just a shitstorm. It might well be an actual shitstorm, I don't know. I don't dare get close enough to find out, to be honest. So anyway, we appear, we come across these beautifully ornate gates, and next to them are two bewinged knights in draconic helms which watch over as the doors open up, all seemingly by themselves. Takafreya turns to us and says, "If we die to whatever awaits us, we die together. We die as friends." And I'm rather moved by those words. That's the sort of thing I thought I'd be saying to the party, but this is what I like about this group. Like, when they come out of their shell, it's really nice. I see now why people like me to RP, because it's nice to see them RP. Yeah, that was moving. That touched me. Not in an inappropriate way, but moving on. Further on, we make our way to another staircase with... I've put here a pantheon awaiting us, but I don't think that's quite right. Unless Parthenon? I don't know. Anyway, with decorations of heraldry underneath a silver dome, and the path leads through the mountains before us. And so we walk on, studying what appears to be an entrance to a cave. Going into it, we find what can only be described as one of those regal antechambers we've ever seen. Pictures of brave adventurers throughout history, which we may or may not recognise. They stand together against insurmountable odds, each and every one of them. And that's the theme, that they never did this alone. They always worked together to defeat the greater threats. There's an air of prophecy about this place. There's blue sky ahead now as we make our way out of the mountains and find that there's no other way forward. We simply find a sheer, sharp drop to the ground below, millions of miles to the ground. Well, I don't know about millions of miles, 5, 10 miles. I don't know, I'm just trying to remember the Motorhead lyric from Bomber. 5 miles off the ground. I don't know why I even tried to sing that. Anyway, so the clouds start to form, and they coalesce and merge and make a walkable path. Wanting just to be out of my misery, I'm just a top Rigsby. Just go forward, and just say, look, just take me, Lord. And so I just step on the clouds, thinking that I'm gonna fall straight through. And I roll a charisma saving throw, and I'm thinking, you know what? There may actually be a chance of failing this, and if I fail this charisma saving throw, I might just actually die. Great. Wave goodbye to level 8, John. You're looking so forward to the chef feat. So, because it's not a magical effect that I know of, I do not get advantage. And it bears my weight. As a surge of energy bursts in within me, and I may remove a point of exhaustion. Thanks, DM. Another step bears my weight, and I do not plummet to my doom. So I say to the others, I think it's safe. Ragnar rolls investigation to see if anyone's been here recently. And he finds no disturbance or traps with a roll of 17. He's doing really good. And he's found some interesting runes that adorn the walls, floor and ceiling that feel as if they're watching us. And I do say, don't look at them, it'll be like in the Temple of Volca, where we all died. It's like, no, it's too late, he's already looked at them. Don't! But thankfully, they're not bad, at least that we know of. The statues of Draconic Knights ahead are made of marble and the purest silver we've ever seen. This is where I start to think, I think I know what's coming. But I don't want to spoil it. Don't want to spoil it. Don't spoil it. It's fine. It's awesome. It's like that knowledge has not spoiled anything. Because this build-up is amazing. Like, I'm getting I'm shivering at how good this is. So, H.Y.D.R.A rolls 18 investigation to suspect the statues, and there's various inscriptions on the Draconic Sentinels in Draconic, and it doesn't really mean much to him. Like as if you're reading an advanced physics paper, like you can recognise some of the words, but you can't quite piece it together to make sense. And so he sees inscriptions on shields as well, and they seem to, or seals as well. I must have misheard that. They seem to describe great battles and great heroism. One that he reads is of Morinith the Silver, who stood against overwhelming odds. The next phrase bites into his soul, so that others may live. Now that is the phrase of... Sorry about that, my camera decided to cut out all of a sudden. That is the phrase of the Bracken people, as soon as I can find the document with all of that stuff. It is right, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation here. This wasn't really worth it, was it? Elizun dos Malar G.E.E.S.E el Zal. The question translates as, why do you fight? So that others may live, or rather, so others may live. And that is, that's the Protectorate of Bracca's battle cry. And that hits hard for H.Y.D.R.A. I don't know why Origin has decided to open itself up. Probably wants to hear about the exciting finale to Dead with Friends Session 19. Can't say I blame it. It's a phrase that's all too familiar, but surely coincidental. And he reads more tales as he walks and realises that all of them have the same theme of characters coming together in wild and varied circumstances to face a greater threat, which is quite appropriate considering the Oath of Vengeance Paladin, which H.Y.D.R.A is always focuses on the greater threat where, well, always where possible. Focuses on the greater threat where possible. So, where it would have been easier to go alone, to let someone else do this, they chose to take upon the duty themselves. They suffered and they endured. That reminds me, I need another injury for my character. An eye patch would look good. Disadvantage on ranged attack rolls though. I'll think of something. So Ragnar feels trepidation, but not much energy as he steps on the cloud. However, he does feel elation that he's no longer plummeting to his death as the bridge of clouds hold its weight. So the charisma save was for the ability to remove a point of exhaustion, not to save from falling and being having a crater named after you. So H.Y.D.R.A pulls Cornelius along, removing both their exhaustion. We continue our meandering, seeing the world below, Eberros and Alkesh, the temple, tempest roiling and flashing, swirling in an otherwise calm sea. A door at the end swings open for us as we pass through to see a court of sorts, something we've only seen in grand castles. The court has a vast set of stairs that is about 100 metres wide and goes up for possibly 200 more. Vast doors lie ahead with more draconic sentinels with varying heraldry that we don't recognise. The court is vacant. There is no movement. Rakanar looks at the runes again with a natural 20 investigation check. The runes that are placed methodically, and they are staring back at us still. H.Y.D.R.A takes the first step, which has a dull resonance, but otherwise nothing else happens as we continue together. After a not insignificant amount of time, we see a set of gargantuan doors atop the vast staircase. It must have taken a whole tree to create these doors, which is hard to believe until H.Y.D.R.A remembers what tree we've ascended. In the description are, I think on some sort of, I think engraved in this, are in this door are dragons dancing in the skies with humanoids among the ground, holding their hands up. H.Y.D.R.A and Rakanar roll to open the door, and 15 and 7 respectively. And upon H.Y.D.R.A calling for Rakanar's aid, they make enough space to make it through. There's a light, not blinding, but obscuring whatever's ahead. Rakanar investigates the area with an 18 and sees that the statues or the engravings of the humanoids, I didn't quite see what it was, seem to hold their arms up in supplication. Others hold each other in farewell, and there's humanoids who we don't even recognise the ancestry of, so they may not be gnomish, halfling, dwarf, they could be something else. Other small folk and other tall folk. So it appears as though there were many more before us. Naturally, the gnomes are at the back because they can't see anything going on. They can't see above the humanoids. Poor gnomes, as ever. Yeah. Yeah. But we noticed that in all of this, everyone in the crowd has individuality. Everyone's clearly carefully sculpted or engraved into the woodwork. There's no anger or furiosity. There's no hatred or bile or scorn. There's no sadness. People are seemingly joyous for whatever reason in this thing. And H.Y.D.R.A says that the dragons were perhaps forced away, or they had a reason to leave. Hoping to solve the mystery, he walks into the light and the crack of the door. We enter a room that has fallen into disrepair. The light bathes everything it touches. What appears to be a throne room, we see stairs that lead to a platform, which leads to stairs, which leads to a throne. Not even the majesty of the throne catches our eye, though. For there's a mound of swords, coins, shields, and what might once have been armour, soaked, slick, with silvery liquid. Sat atop it, a figure stares. Our eyes take some time to adjust to the light, but when we do, we see a gargantuan form of an ancient silver dragon, with wounds all over its body, the blood coursing into the treasure. It struggles to get up, its gigantic form creaking, but it flops back down into its hoard. H.Y.D.R.A approaches and it brings its bulk toward him, a claw brushing the side of his face.
I lied to you, H.Y.D.R.A. But you must now, all of you, protect my legacy. But I am glad to see you.
As Volmac, or Volmacathan the Great, flexes his wings and lifts his bulk and lets out a triumphant roar. And that's where the session ends.
Wow!
Ah! It was amazing! It was an absolutely incredible session. And I was thinking, like, what is this lead up, what is this building up to? Because, like, my character's too tired, and, like, she gets it, I'm like, oh my god. It's like, I was so glad that, like, build up took as long as it did, because that was amazing, and perfectly timed as well. I think we managed to just get out of the session just in time before Cornelius Bonaparte's player had to quit to see to their dog and go to bed for work. But yeah, that was an amazing session, and we've seen our mutual benefactor, and it's going to be a long 2 weeks. It's not going to be another 2 weeks before we play, and it's going to be a very long 2 weeks because we're not playing again until the 27th, and no one wants to miss the session. It was incredible. It was a really, really good session. Like, there was nothing that could have been done better. And I think about, like, because I was like, at the end of the session I was thinking, like, what does this remind me of? Because, like, it was so emotionally gripping. And I'm just thinking, what game has had this impact on me? Like, I'm thinking of, like, H.Y.D.R.A in Valkyria Chronicles. I'm thinking of, like, the final battle in Baldur's Gate, using, like, the Wonder Fireball at the edge of the screen. I'm thinking of, like Akatosh's Ascent in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I think I referenced it before in like I had referenced it before in the session with like the fight between who we now know as Volmacathan and the, like, metallic onyx dragon of sorts. Yeah, and like how this is just, like, it's just so much better. I'm just speechless. It was just incredible, and I wanted to do the session recap because I've just done this one immediately after the game because it was just so incredible, and I can't believe it. It was just amazing. What a build-up, what a payoff. Because, like, I was just thinking of, like, once I said silver, I was like, okay, I think I know where we are. But before that, I was like, are we in Valhalla? Have we just died? Is this the end of the campaign then? Or I was thinking, like, is this a place of power? Is this the Temple of the Wind? Like, what do we get here? Is this where the Red Dragon lives? Are we going to have to engage in diplomacy in this, I don't know, like, say, an ancient Red Dragon's home? You know? Have we been invited? Have we been summoned? Is this an accident? Yeah, it was amazing. There was nothing that the DM could have done better, I don't think. Yeah, and this is what I think I said at the beginning of the video. This is one of those sessions that makes me glad that I'm playing D&D instead of, like, a video game. Because there's no video game that could have done this, even with Roll20 and Beyond 20 and D&D Beyond and, like, electronic tokens. You know, there was nothing, like, barring, like, a physical tabletop, but, you know, due to geographic restrictions, we can't really do that. But yeah, that was amazing, and it was so gripping, and the music was perfect. Like, our DM's really, really good at, like, the audio mixing and such. Like, I thought I was alright with finding appropriate music at times. No, they are legendary with Watch Together. Really, it was a phenomenal session, and I have not got much more to say than that. Oh yeah, when we get to our next long rest, we'll be level 8. So, with any luck, we will live to level 8. we almost didn't. It was good, and our combat was great, and like seeing the Hollow King's abilities in like not in full, but the brunt of them. Like just saying, right, D10, let's roll 8 of them. It was just ridiculous. But it was cool, and honestly, like it's vulnerability that I kind of miss. You know, the potential that like our characters may die, and there's no DM fear that's gonna get it out of us. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. So yeah, but now I've been knocked unconscious yet again. I think that's about 4 times in the campaign now. I've got to come up with a new injury for my character. Now there are lasting injuries in the DMG, which can be quite punishing. Like you can lose limbs, you can, including like eyes and such. But honestly, with the amount of times I've gone down, I probably would end up with having to retire the character to say no, stop this. So I think it's gonna have to be another cosmetic thing. Although I don't know, she has gone down a fair few times now. What could she reasonably lose? That you know, just to say, look, you've made these decisions that have got you in trouble this many times. You know, okay, not counting like the time that she had to be kidnapped by the cultists to like excuse the reason why like I wasn't there at the game. Yeah, what could it be? I don't know. I could have my bum leg reflected in game. Ever since starting my new job, my knee's been playing up. So yeah, she could walk with a bit of a limp now. God. Yeah, she's gonna lose 5 feet movement speed, I imagine now. Right. Yeah, she'll definitely need Rigsby to carry her around. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe even convert this scimitar into a sword cane. That'd be pretty neat. Yeah. She's not gonna be the most aspiring image on the battlefield, I can tell you. By the time we actually get to a battlefield, like, she's probably just gonna be like more prosthetics than person. Good lord. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, not to dwell on, you know, injuries and such. But no, it was a really good session. I loved every minute of it. All the exploration, all the combat, all the roleplay. Every single thing about it was really good. We've got some more leads, so we've got the Crimson Hands to deal with. So that'll be a nice little. I said little. I don't know if it will be little or not. But it might lead to some just mundane quest. I don't mean mundane isn't bad. I mean like mundane isn't like, you know, magic and mundane. They're physical. So it might just be like, you know, nice true return to form. Just a bit of a break from dragons and, you know, high fantasy. We've got Flint down, and the festival that might be happening in a few days there. I don't think that's related to the gala that's going on at the Royal Palace, because I think that's in a few weeks' time, and I think we're about 2-3 weeks away from that yet, so we'll see. But yeah, festivities in Flint down, that'd be good. We've got a lead on Zukov as well. But yeah, depending on what Volmakathar has for us, we might well just be going straight to H.Y.D.R.A, getting the next temple. We will see. There's a lot going on, but yeah, I think our characters, if they didn't have much RP motivation before, they do now. They've been given that jolt of life, so that's really good. Yeah, it's like Rakanar's seen the professor one last time, and has more reason to spur himself on. Takavria again, you know, having a personal moment with the professor. Fingers crossed we all perhaps get a bit of chance to talk with him before the exertion that the professor's taken on himself does him in. But we will see. It's scary and it's wonderful, and I love every minute of it. And that's what I'm here for. Yeah, it's like sessions like this make D&D so worth it to play. Yeah, it's like whenever I take like a 2-week break, I'm like, I don't really have that much spoons to roleplay, and it turns out I do when we get the hook that we need. Yeah, yeah, it's working out really well. Sorry, I just keep blathering on, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get off. Thank you ever so much for watching. Take care, and ta-ta for now. Or as the lieutenant does. That may well get gift to high hell. When I'm famous, when I'm famous, I got several 100,000 subscribers from doing this. Doubtful. Although then again, if people want to argue Sanix, then probably, yeah. Right. See you later. Ta for now.